And continuing our showbiz beat, the nominations for the 71st Primetime Emmy Awards, as we said, were announced yesterday. But what we didn't mention, it was a historic day for streaming services like HBO, with Game of Thrones setting a record for most nominations by any drama series in history. And here to give us more of the highlights is senior editor at Variety magazine, Michael Snyder. Good morning, Michael.
Lisa,
thanks for being here.
Good to be back.
Yesterday's a big day for you,
It was
right?
a huge day. Got up early. It was exciting.
Counting.
And the best part of it is, like, it actually was a good day. Like, some nice surprises, some really good slots. You know, some years they disappoint. This year they didn't. I feel like the TV Academy mostly got it right.
Or the streaming
they did,
as we might call it now.
That's how we watch TV now, right? It's funny that you even sort of called HBO a streaming service, because that's how I think a lot of people watch even a channel like HBO now.
That's right, which started out as a real channel before the Hulus and the Netflix of the world. Let's start with the unbelievable dominance of HBO.
Yeah, 137 nominations. That's the biggest in HBO's history, but I think that's the biggest for any network in history. That was a huge deal. HBO Game of Thrones was driving that at 32 nominations. That's the most any show has ever gotten in a single year, beating NYPD, which had 26 in 1994. New record. So, and that's huge.
And now we have Veep here with Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I mean, this is its farewell, right?
Yeah. So Veep did well. Barry, we're seeing as well, did very well for HBO as well. So, and Chernobyl, which is a limited series with Jared Harris, which did very well. So all those shows, John Oliver, I mean, HBO has a wide mix of great series, and that all sort of contributed to this dominant haul yesterday.
Well, and those series I was not surprised at. Were you like, that's like, of course,
no,
you know,
those
we're
are all
going to see
ones we're predicting. Yeah.
But there were a few surprises. Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, are we allowed to say Schitt's Creek, by the way?
Well, if we know the spelling.
SCHITT apostrophe S.
Go.
Yeah, that's a show that critics have loved for years. It has a very small but loyal fan base. The fact that it actually got some nominations is huge. It's on a channel you've probably not even heard of before called Pop TV. But it's got Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hare.
They're rich. They lose everything. They end up in a dumpy motel, dumpy little town.
Yeah, it's a small little Canadian show that does very well. Eugene Levy, who we all remember from SCTV and through so many things through the years. This is the first time he's been nominated for an Emmy since 1983.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that's a huge day for him. This show was created by his son Dan, so it's also a family affair. It's so lovely to see that.
There's another surprise that for me anyway, which is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Is that right?
Yeah.
She said she created a show I adore called Killing Eve.
Yeah.
But she's also the very unlikable protagonist of a comedy show, dark comedy.
Yeah, Amazon. And this is another show that the critics love, but I'm not sure a lot of people have actually seen. But nonetheless, because the critics love it so much, there's been so much buzz, it got some great mentions. Great day for her, because Killing Eve, as you mentioned, also got a ton of nominations.
Well, what about the broadcast networks? Are they still making a show?
I mean, not as much as they used to. Saturday Night Live is still a huge dominant force. This Is Us did very well. But for the most part, it's not so much the broadcast networks anymore. It's all about the streamers, as you mentioned, premium cable like HBO. But that's just the shifting world of TV now.
Out?
So, well, speaking of the broadcast networks, The Big Bang Theory, final year. Very big surprise that didn't get really any mentions other than directing. So that was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, but you know what? Given the checks these guys have been cashing for the last few years, I think they'll get over it.
They'll get over it. They'll definitely get over it. But some big names, by the way, that I thought for sure would get nominated. Julia Roberts, who was the star of Homecoming on Amazon, didn't get nominated. George Clooney, who has his take on Catch-22 on Hulu, also didn't get nominated. I thought for sure he was going to, because who doesn't love the Clune dog, right?
Right.
So a couple of surprises, because I think the positive surprises outweighed the snubs.
Well, it's a fascinating new mix, and I think it's going to make all of us go and sit down and catch up on some of the things we forgot to stream.
You got some homework. There's some great TV to check out.
Thanks, Michael.
Absolutely, Lisa.
And you can watch the 71st Primetime Emmy Awards on Sunday, September 22nd, live on Emmy Awards. Of course, you can always look up Michael Schneider on, what are you, Variety.com?
Variety.com.
Variety.com.
Yep.
We'll be back.